If you love the look of foiled sentiments on your cards, you need to see the latest Spellbinders Glimmer Cardfront Sentiments Collection. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel, and in today's video I'll be sharing a few items from the Glimmer Cardfront Sentiments Collection from Spellbinders. First, let's take a quick peek at the supplies I'll be using today. First up is the Hello Blooms Stencil and Die Bundle. Now you can buy the stencil on its own, but it's nice to have the die so that you can cut out the stenciled effect when you're done. The stencil is a large stencil, but it is broken into 4 sections so that you'll color in that entire bouquet, which fits an A2 card front perfectly. So this bundle is perfect if you don't have a glimmer machine. You can still enjoy this collection. So like I mentioned, each part of the stencil colors in a different part of this bouquet. You could do it flat to the card or you could cut it out. And the die set comes with a hello and a shadow for that hello. So you don't need to glimmer if you don't want to. But the glimmer plate that I have is the giant thank you. There are other large sentiments that fill a card front that work really well with this bundle too. So we'll do a little bit of both in today's video. Now, let's use that new stencil die and foil plate to make some cards. For this first card, I knew I wanted to die cut it. So I die cut the bouquet first, popped it back into the negative piece of the A2 card front, and now I'll line up the stencil on top. So if you have the die already cut out, it's really easy to line up the stencil. You can see where everything goes. If you choose to not cut it out, there are those little circles at the top of the stencil. You can draw those in the first time you use it and then use those to line up each piece after that. So you can see I started on the top left, moved over to the top right. Now we're on the bottom left, and there are different flowers. There are also leaves, and there are layers for each of those. So you got flower centers and all types of things like that, and also leaf veins as well. So lots of really pretty ways to combine a whole bunch of colors on this stencil if you so choose. I like using Distress Oxide inks because I feel like they're so creamy, they blend really well, and I love the effect when they come out like this. So next up, I did die cut the hello in the gold mirror cardstock from Spellbinders, and I cut the shadow out of their vellum. So once that was done, you can just line those up together, and that creates a really pretty sentiment for this card. I am going to emboss an A2 background, and this is why it's nice having the die to cut that stencil out, because then I can pop this up on an embossed background and you get even more detail and interest in your card without a ton of work. So if you just have the stencil, you couldn't really use an embossed background as easily as I did here. So then I'll just place a little bit of liquid glue behind the gold mirror hello die cut on the vellum and then put that right on the card. So 3 little elements, super easy to create, but it has such a pretty colorful look to it. Now let me show you the glimmer plate. So giant thank you is this giant sentiment in the center. Of course, I tape my foil down to my cardstock. That helps keep it in place, and then put my plates on top, take that out and run it through my die cut machine. When I take the plates off and remove the card and foil, you can see already that it's probably done a good job foiling it. This is with that brass color of foil. I absolutely love it. It's kind of a gold look, but just a little bit darker and warmer. For those corners that I did not want foiled but did end up getting foiled, I'll just use a little sand eraser here. So as long as you're not trying to get up right next to a thin foiled element, that sand eraser will do a great job. For this card, since I'm going to stencil on top of that foiled sentiment, I'm going for lighter colors. So I'm starting with spun sugar, and I'm doing a very light hand. Now that is super hard for me. I tend to be a very heavy-handed ink blender, and you can see with the blues I kind of lost the lightness of it a little bit. That's okay because it's not on the letters itself. So as long as you're not working on the foiled letters, I think it's okay to go a little bit darker. But when you are working right on that foiled sentiment, it's not that the foil won't resist. It absolutely will resist the ink and you can buff it off. but I just think it's easier to read if you're going with much lighter hand and lighter colors. So I have some slightly darker pinks for the center, but you can see I'm just barely touching the brush to the ink pad and then just kind of gently adding the ink to the stencil. For those leaves, I do want to do a very light background. So I'm using an ergonomic blending brush and I've taped off the flower centers so that I can go over the leaves entirely lightly with this large brush. Then I can take off that washi tape in the center of those flowers and add some other colors as well. Again, you get two colors for many of the elements here. So flower centers, leaf veins, and just I'm using lighter colors this time to really make sure that you can't see it. This time I did use those little circles to line everything up, so I just need to erase those once I'm done. And I decided to cut this one down to 4 by 5 1/4 because I thought it would look really pretty matted on some gold mirror cardstock to really draw out that gold thank you in the center. So this collection is so much fun, and really these cards come together so quickly because everything is card front specific and made to fit an A2 card. I don't know about you, but I love that look of a big impact foiled sentiment right on a card front. Spellbinders has other sentiments in this collection as well, and I'll link to those down below too. If you haven't seen my other 2 Spellbinders May release videos, I will link those in the YouTube description box below the video as well. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Glimmer Sentiments Glimmer Sentiments Cardfront Collection. Glimmer Cardfronts Glimmer Cardfront Sentiments Collection. Glimmer Cardfront Sentiments Collection. Okay. It's like the first 2 you just run right through and then it starts to like tongue trips over itself. Okay, it's fine.